Welcome to today's Tribe Digital Marketing Series. Today, we are joined by Kirsten Markson. She is a practice lead in our go-to-market team at LeadMD. Kirsten, thanks for joining.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Oh, good. Well, I typically like to just break the ice with let people get to know you a little bit. So what is it that you're most passionate about in marketing?
So I would say that I'm most passionate about really understanding your customers or buyers. I have a background in research, really traditional market research. And I think that it's really important to understand what their motivations are, how you can offer them content and offers that are really going to make a difference. So being a good listener, I think, is a really undervalued skill in business, but asking your customers, doing the formal research, taking time out to really understand what they're doing, looking at your data, putting that whole kind of story together about how you can serve their needs. It takes time, it takes effort and sustained effort because those things change. But I think it's really important to root your strategy there. And it's hard sometimes to do that in a consistent way. But really, it's just the conversation to how can you be valuable to them? What can you offer? How can you meet them where they are versus just talking about yourself, which I think is really important.
Yeah, so a deep understanding of your buyer is never a bad idea, right?
No.
But now we're faced with event cancellations. People aren't, basically events were built for salespeople and marketers to get something to talk about and get people meeting face to face and whatnot. In some industries like medical device and things like that, now their sales force literally can't go meet face to face with their target buyer, which in this case is a physician or a healthcare provider. So what are some tips that you can offer people if deep understanding of the buyer is what you're most passionate about to pivot their face-to-face marketing and sales strategies to more of a digital strategy?
Well, I think that's what is even more important right now to offer value. So if you are having trouble connecting with people, and there's, especially if you're selling to people whose whole world has been upended in terms of how they do business, what their concerns are, I would say as much as you can bring things online, so obviously offer in virtual events, but also reaching out to your customers and asking if they need anything from you, checking in and asking for feedback in this time, I think is also important. So recognizing that people's concerns and their day-to-day lives may be really different than they have been, and trying to create opportunities to connect in this new reality. So I think you can't go wrong with outreach, even if it's more of a mechanized email that feels personal and authentic and kind of acknowledges that it's a new world and you want to connect with them and ask kind of what's the best way, offer options to do that digitally. Ask if you can send them something. There's still mail, as far as I know. so there's still, sending information, sending them kind of thought leadership as much as you can to be useful. But I think that it's important to really think through what their day-to-day looks like and adjust your strategy to that, because you want to make sure that you're offering value. And if you're kind of tone deaf at this time, or you're trying to sell them something at an inopportune time, they'll remember that a lot, because this is a really unprecedented experience that we're all going through.
Yeah. And, acknowledgement and levity, I think, are two things that I got from Mike Barbo when I was talking to him. And I thought those were really, really good tips. But, is acknowledgement enough? What about acknowledgement with the coupling of that deep understanding of the buyer, that if you're doing marketing well already, how can you bring those two together? What might that look like? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I've seen some companies, some B2C companies, do kind of subtle things without really saying what the situation is. We don't need to say it, right? Everyone's working from home. Everyone's struggling with this big change that we're going through in terms of our day-to-day lives. Everyone's got kids at home or have pets or roommates that are interrupting their conference calls. So I think levity and authenticity is important. Levity can get you into trouble at this very serious time if you're not careful. So, but being authentic about it, just acknowledging, we know you probably need these things right now, so we're going to offer them up. Just thinking through what your day-to-day looks like. So some of the retail companies that I've seen do that subtly, or not so subtly, but in a helpful way, is offering, comfy clothes and sales on office items. So they're not saying everything's changed, but they know that you're suddenly like, oh, I need these things to survive through this period in a graceful manner. So I think some of that about being authentic and just kind of acknowledging that in your messaging. I think that we're all kind of in new territory with these changes and trying to pivot and adjust. And so as long as you're being authentic and self-deprecating and kind of have to hit the right tone, you have a lot of leeway to be more human in your communication.
Yeah, I like that a lot because, I like to steal from B2C because I feel like they do it better than B2B. We get a little stuffy for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you know your buyers and you understand them, they have needs in the changing time, just like a consumer has needs in the changing time. So you should know them better than anybody else, right? You should have done your research, built those personas, built those customer segmentations and whatnot, leverage those to your advantage to offer them something that makes sense in this time in the business world. Yeah, I really like that. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and I think if you are, you're just thinking through, like, what activities are they doing? If their messaging and advertising is ramping down, they have time to do other types of things, some planning. You could offer templates and worksheets and ideas on how to use the time productively. Lots of ways to add value at this time if you really kind of have a good sense of what they need.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I really appreciate you taking 15 minutes out of your day to talk with me. Hopefully some of our customers can see some value in this message and it's timely for them as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Kirsten.
All right. Stay well. Bye.
You too.